want to start eating cleaner and being healthier in general, but you have absolutely no idea where to start, or you're just overwhelmed with all the advice out there, then this video is for you. 2.5 years ago, I was in this exact same situation where I wanted to basically transform my health, and I just was so overwhelmed because so many people were telling me conflicting advice and it just seemed so complicated, but it's not. I've now learned that it is not as hard as it looks. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I have transformed my eating habits, how I eat healthy and clean, how I stay energized and nourished, and I don't eat boring. That's the main thing. Healthy food does not need to be boring at all. I genuinely look forward to my meals. In the morning when I wake up, I'm excited because I've got a whole day of meals ahead of me and I love them, which might be sad, but it's the truth. So anyway, I'm going to dive straight into it, but this is episode 1, how to eat clean, of this whole how to get healthy series. So I'm going to break it all down step by step, and of course, where are we going to start? Breakfast. I love breakfast. I absolutely love it. I have completely transformed my old eating habits. So old me, I used to have cereal or like Nutella on toast, which has of course no nutritional value. When I used to eat this, I had such cravings all the time because they didn't fill me up properly and they didn't have that nutritious value. And so by the time it came to lunch, I was starving. So I spoke to a nutritionist and she worked with me, and what she did was she made me switch out my breakfast, you know, the cereal and the toast, for something that is protein dense. So what I do is I wake up and I get dressed and then I go and eat breakfast straight away. And by eating my breakfast within half an hour of waking, it means that my blood sugar isn't going to spike. And so yeah, the biggest piece of advice I'd say is to include some kind of protein. Now there is so many people out there who eat all different kinds of things. You know, if you go into Google or TikTok and you search up protein dense breakfasts, there will be a ton of inspiration there for you. What I eat personally is really random, but do not bash it until you've tried it. So what I have is lentils, red cabbage, avocado, eggs, and then any kind of protein. So for example, if I made chicken yesterday and I've got some leftovers, I'll put that in there, or I'll have like a little tinned can of mackerel, any sort of protein. But literally, I just put all of that into a bowl, mix it up. It looks weird and it sounds weird, but it tastes so nice. And if this is not your thing, do not worry, you don't need to have this. But there's plenty of other inspo out there. But the main thing is, have protein in your breakfast. That is the main takeaway from this. Moving on to lunches and dinners. So for these, I follow the same 3 pillars for every single lunch and dinner. I always aim to have fibre, so vegetables, things like courgettes, broccoli, cauliflower, bell peppers, all those kinds of things. Second thing is protein. I like things like chicken, mince, steaks, anything like that. If you're vegan or vegetarian, I am not personally able to give you advice on what to eat because I'm not either of those things, but I know people love things like tofu and whatnot. I don't know why I've now become a pale ghost. Hello? Okay, so I've readjusted the camera because for some reason it was making me look really pale and washed out more than I already am. So that was a bit rude. Anyway, so the third and final pillar is carbs. I love quinoa. I love sweet potato. Sweet potato is my addiction. Okay, so those are the 3 main meals. But I do also want to talk about snacks because I don't believe in depriving myself. Like, if I'm hungry and I want a snack, I'm gonna have a snack. So the sort of things that I like are Brazil nuts and walnuts and dark chocolate. I like any kinds of like fruits, I don't know what I said. Fruits, things like, you know, apples, bananas, whatnot. And as well for sweet treats, I love, like my obsession is coconut yogurt because I avoid dairy. Not saying to do this as a general rule of thumb. This is just what I do for myself. So I have coconut yogurt and then I have like berries and then a bit of raw honey. But honestly, there's so many different things out there. If you're not a fan of that kind of a thing, then don't feel any pressure. There is so much inspiration, especially if you go on TikTok nowadays. But yeah, don't limit yourself. And a lot of people like to do the 80-20 rule. So they'll do 80% clean, organic eating, and then 20% they'll eat whatever they like. Okay, so that is the sort of main chunky meat of the information, and I'm going to just give some quick tips because I want to keep this video short and concise and not overwhelming. So here are a few extra little tips. So for this first one, this is coming from personal experience. When I realised that I was eating too much processed food, too much refined sugars, I wanted to just take it all away. Essentially, I was looking at my plate and I was like, this needs to go. And what I've realised is I highly recommend adding in stuff to your diet before taking away. If you look at your plate and you're like, well, this all needs to go, you're going to be left with an empty plate and it's just going to be like, oh, what do I even do? What really helped for me is setting myself one goal at a time. So for example, week 1, I would say my goal right now is to increase my fibre. So I'm going to have 2 cups worth of vegetables per day. I'm going to add that to my meal, make it a habit. Next week, okay, now I'm going to start upping my protein. I'm going to have a chicken breast with my lunch, for example. And each one, I'd, set a new goal, and gradually the good stuff was coming in and I was slowly getting rid of the stuff that wasn't so great. The next thing I would advise is to go for whole foods. It was so crazy to me, the more I learned about organic and healthy and clean eating, when I went into supermarkets and I looked at the back of, like where all the ingredients are, and something that you think should be so simple and have such a minimal ingredients list, it was just like going on and on and on. And I was like, what? Half this stuff is not needed at all. So now when I am trying to buy something, I want the ingredients list to be as minimal as possible. And one of the final things I would say is to always try and go as organic as possible. I know that the organic foods, especially like organic meats, are a lot more expensive than the normal ones, and it's just annoying. It's such a shame. It's annoying that there even needs to be like an organic section, but that's how it is. So when you can, get organic, but generally, even if you're trying to do your best and you can't get organic, all these other changes will help you so much. Anyways, I'm going to end this here because, as I said, I want to keep this short and concise and easy. The main thing is not to overwhelm yourself. It's to be patient. The progress will be slow. I mean, I'm still learning things even 2 years on from my journey, but I have come such a long way than where I used to be. So be patient with yourself. So if you enjoyed this, I love breaking down like wellness and motivational advice to make it simple and easy to digest. So yeah, if you like this kind of thing, then subscribe and follow along.